We are back. Today I want to talk about a mini project I had called If 6 Was 9. After the winter season and kind of focusing in on one main project that I ended up not doing, I was pretty burnt out. So started training, that's where my psych was at, but still wanted to get outside. Rock climbing is what keeps me sane, so I can't permanently train. But I needed a change of pace from hard bouldering, so I kind of started looking around, scrubbing up some new rigs, but I also got a bit into sport climbing. I was convinced by my buddy Felipe to check out this route If 6 Was 9. It was put up by Ethan Pringle. I'm not sure when. It is at Culler's Crag in the Poudre Canyon. Pretty amazing looking route. It's just a black streak down this wall that kind of looms over the road and the river. You can see it from the road, it's pretty imposing. I was hesitant to try this thing because it was a little longer than I was comfortable with, and it was not very steep at all. I think it's pretty much vertical. It may get like 5 degrees overhanging in some spots. I was a little afraid of falling on that angle, and also just not generally what I'm used to. But it turned out to be a pretty amazing route. The rock for the most part felt pretty bullet. I guess I'll just break down the route. You start in this absolute garbage chossy patch of pegmatite, but luckily after a few moves of very cautious climbing so you don't rip a chunk out on your belayer, you end up in some really nice granite. You kind of do this easy jug traverse until you pull into 2 jugs just in the black rock. From here, the first part of the route starts. The route can kind of be divided into 2 parts. There's like an intro 13A tech fest to a decent undercling rest into maybe a V8 or 9 boulder problem at the top. Anyway, from the jugs, you make a far reach out to a good in-cut crimp. Build feet, come across to this matchbox hold, bring your left hand up into a pretty crystally crimper. Then you hit this really awful Gaston with your right hand. You have to shift over and come into a side pull. From there, you do the first real clip. Up to that point, you've done 3 draws of intro climbing. Then you bump out right to another Gaston, build feet, do a deep lock off to a cool 3-finger sloping pinch, build feet, and I do a pretty high reach above my head to this aggressive Gaston, which is really good for the thumb, but the rest of the fingers are probably like 8 mil. You lock into your shoulder and do kind of insecure cross move. You go to like this slick but pretty good hold, then you clip. From there, you get this really bad intermediate, build feet, do like a super deep lock off to this bad slopey pinch thing. And then I like lock off even further and reach again to a better crimp, come into the bad slopey one, and then walk your feet over. Do a lock off into the undercling where you rest. It's a really good handhold, but the feet are kind of insecure, so it's hard to fully relax into the undercling. I do a really high clip into the head wall, get some shakes there. From this undercling is where the crux starts. You do left hand out to a really good jug that's in the crack. Build your feet up really high and reach to a slopey side pull. I do a left heel, bump up to the very top of the crack, bring my left foot down, right foot up, then put the left heel back in and reach into this really cool, weird undercling pinch thing. You hike your left foot up and then you have to just like pull into the undercling and just stand fully over the bulge. Then you reach up to the worst hold on the route, which is like a 3-finger, like 5 mil razor blade pinch. Get your right foot up and do a really extended move to a good 3-finger like flat edge. At this point I'm like full extension between my hands and my feet. I'll clip, build right foot up really high onto this kind of sketchy crystal that feels like it might break. Do big move to a decent edge, build my feet a little more, come into a bad crimp, build my feet all the way up high and do a lock off out to this pretty good fat pinch, which is a really cool hold. Then I swap feet, reach to a really good like kind of right between a sloper and a jug, and then reach into this massive like jug finger lock undercling, and that's where you clip the draws from, or clip the chains rather. Really fun experience. Definitely got outside of my comfort zone a little bit. I have a pretty bad lead head, so taking a few falls on this thing was kind of got me into a better headspace. Really didn't give it all that many goes, but invested quite a bit of time in it. The power endurance style I think will lend itself well to some bouldering projects that I have coming up, but overall it was a nice breath of fresh air from kind of the rugged winter projecting.